Alright, haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to do a game plan review from today. It was a pretty quiet day in terms of fresh news. Why don't we get this started? I will show you, of course the game plan is the morning call that we do with our traders, and here's the written summary of what we talked about in the meeting this morning, and we'll go through stock by stock. It shouldn't take too long because there wasn't too much fresh stuff. So the first stock that we looked at this morning was Orcl. There was some fresh news in there on buying their competitor, and in the pre-market established resistance around 30 by 30 to 30.30. Very positive reaction. My initial trading plan based on the pre-market action that I saw was looking to trade a break of the range from 29 to 30.30, and I'll also repeat what I said in the morning meeting today to our traders, which is you want to be very careful when something gaps up this much with fresh news, trading it on the short side. Certainly if it breaks below this 29 level that I highlighted as pre-market support, I will look to trade it on the short side, but much more interested in looking for the long setup. So we can see the market opened, it made a new high here at around 31.30, and then it started to trend lower, and you can see that on the 15-minute chart. And there is definitely were some people on the desk trading it on the short side. If we zoom in to it, you can see basically it came down to around 29.5, and it stopped there. There was huge buying, and if we even zoom in on it a little bit more, what we can see is, actually you can go to the tick chart to show you kind of what that looks like. So what we saw was it made a new high as the market opened. It came down after 10 o'clock, started to hold below $30 a share, and I believe some people at that point were shorting it. And at 29.50, it came down, and there was just an enormous amount of volume. You can see this, hundreds of thousands of shares being bought here. Came down a little bit lower, and came back up to the 29.50 and failed, and then was bought at 29. So there was this huge accumulation, but it's trending lower, so people were focused on the short. What you want to do, and you can see these spike ups in volume, one here, and one here, is just note that there was methodical selling going on, and there was no trouble being shorted, especially once it got below 29, which was the pre-market support. And our next level we were looking for was around 27.5. It never quite got there, and then you can see the volume lightened up. And so if we go to the 5-minute, actually let me even go to the 15-minute to see what that looks like. And you can see it was very methodical, this move down here. About 5 million shares were sold into this move. But once that downtrend stopped and it came up and held a little bit higher above 28 and moved back above this 29 and consolidated, then it became a nice long again. If we zoom in on the 5-minute, you can see where I thought it was actually the best spot, which was right here at $30 a share. It had come all the way back to 30, cleared a lot of this range, and was very tight against $30 a share. And I think a couple of guys took that trade. I'll zoom in on it a little bit even more for you so you can see it. Basically came up to 30 and spent about 20-25 minutes there being bought, and eventually broke to the upside and went up about 2.5 points from there. So there was a lot of money in it on both sides. I thought probably the best trade of the day was once it bottomed out here at 28 and came back and held above 30, looking for it to make a new high. That uptrend could have continued. It could have gone probably a couple more points. It eventually did come off about a point or change or so, but there was opportunity in both directions. The next one I want to take a look at is Orcl. Not a stock I talk about often, but it was a light news day today. It caught a downgrade from Jefferies. Noticed that it had been supporting at 29.75 the last 5 days or so, was opening below there. I thought a simple play would be putting on a decent sized trade on the short side, understanding that 75 and 90 cents were resistance, try to make a quick half point. That's the trade. Don't really want to actively trade something like this that doesn't move around too much. So here's the 5-day on it, just so you can see what my thinking was. Here's the support here at 29.75. Here's the support at 29.90. As the market opened today, you can see it quickly spiked to 90 cents and failed, and was right back below that 75 cents. That's where somebody would have initiated their position as it started to hold below 75, and eventually did hit our target around 11:30, about 29.25, and reversed all the way back up to 75 cents. And so I thought that was a pretty clean opportunity for younger guys where they could have risked 10-15 cents and caught that half point and covered down in a quarter. I'm not going to really spend any more time on that. Soda, this one's interesting. Gapped up on a new product that launched news, was trading against 36 resistance in the pre-market. I thought that a short against that 36 would be a nice trade. You can see my initial trading plan was look at short against 36, and this is actually a great example of how I got the level right, but the initial bias actually would have been flipped. So you can see the market opened and immediately powered above the 36, and then that 36 acted as support for the rest of the morning and eventually trended up 2 points from there. So this is something that people who aren't traders have difficulty understanding. What's really important is understanding the levels. I'm sorry, this is not what we want to look at. That's the PowerPoint here. This is the PDF, but 36 is our resistance level. In trading, what's most important is to identify that level. If it blows through 36 to the upside, to 36.5 and pulls back and supports there, you have a great long trade. If it fails at 36 on the open, comes down to 35.5, and then resists here, you have a great short trade. First move on the open was up to 70 cents, pulled back, supported there for 20 minutes, came back one more time, supported it for 15 minutes at 36, and then basically trended up for the rest of the day up to $38 a share. What type of risk do you put on this stock? Usually probably about 15 cents or so. I'd be risking at the 36 level, risking 15 cents, traded up to this 37, then supported here, and then went up another point as well. So very clean on that one. So clean on Orcl, Orcl, clean on SODA from the 36 level. The next one is MCP. This is something that I blogged and talked about on Friday, trading this on the long side from 28 to 31. Today I was looking for the pullbacks either to 30 or 29.5. Resistance 30.90 to 31. Very strong Friday. Looking for some profit taking to enter on the long side. So let's take a look at this one. MCP. Didn't get that much profit taking on the open. It pulled back to about 20, 30 and a quarter. I had bids at 30 and a quarter, 30.15, 30.05. I was looking to just really accumulate it into the 30 level. It got to a quarter and I couldn't even get hit there. So I didn't start buying it until it actually came back up here and was consolidating right in front of this 31. I noticed that it was supporting here at 90 cents and I bought into this move here, into this break above 31. Sold some here. Actually, I think I didn't get the high print. I think I got a 45 sale up here. Bought it back on the pullback to 31. Actually, no, on this pullback, I didn't buy into this pullback. I just held my small position. On the second pullback to 31, I bought here. I was actually actively trading, I think, GMCR at this point, so I didn't buy into this pullback. The second pullback, I bought into this and sold into this up move to 31.60, held a little bit, and then I believe I tweeted I got flat around this move through 32, and I was off the desk at that point. And you can see, look at that, actually you can see a pretty nice volume spike in that move up to 32 right here, and that ended up being the high for the day. It did pull back one more time to kind of this opening support area. And at the end of the day, I wasn't on the desk, but I assumed some sort of news or some big sellers came in here. They drove it down to 29.50, which coincidentally was the area I was interested on the open and buying it, but that move never happened. Kind of curious to see what happens tomorrow on this one. But overall, this was a stock that treated me well, catching that move up to 32, and that was how I traded that one. The next one is GMCR. GMCR. This one, we were looking at the 52 as support, resistance 54, inflection 52.5, tight range on Friday after the huge gap down. Looking to short it if it stays below 52.50 with confirmation below 52. So the way this one traded out, GMCR, was pretty interesting. Right on the open, it came off hard below this 52 and immediately got above the top of the opening range, and I thought that was setting up for a nice bear trap. Meaning a bear trap is basically when a bunch of people look to get short below a recent support level, and then it traps them. And so when it pulled back the second time to 52, I actually got long in this area here, and I thought I was in the driver's seat on this move up here. It actually held a little bit, failed to hold above 52.60, and eventually I was stopped out of that long, and then it got much more controlled. It started holding a little bit lower at 37 cents, and it started holding at 15 cents, so I started to trade that on the short side, actually right here. I'll zoom in on it for where I can show you where I put the short position on. It was right here, right before I left the desk, below 15 and then below 10, and I think I shorted some at 52, and I thought I had it. but I got stopped out when this popped back up here above 15. I was off the desk, so I couldn't short this retracement when it retraced back to 52, but I know some people did catch it, and this is the importance of actually sitting at the desk all day. If you're at the desk all day, maybe you get stopped out a couple of times. Third time is the charm. It never held above 52, and came all the way back down to 50, which was one of the targets we were using from Friday's trading day. So GMCR was another one, a little bit whippy on the open, but eventually started to hold below this 52 level, took out the day's low below 51.5, and trended all the way down to 50 or below $50 a share. The next one on our list is FCX. Support level 38.60, resistance 38.80. It was consolidating at recent lows after a recent downtrend, looking to short at first. But others could be looking at this trade, so be mindful of a bear trap as well. So again, just you want to be cautious. I'll show you the 5-day on this so you can kind of see what the setup looked like. Here's the 15-minute. And what we can see is over the last 5 days, there was some support at 38.80 and 38.60. And again, it actually right on the open there was a little bit of a bear trap there. You can see it spiked up to 39.40. Came back down and then eventually started to hold below 38.60, and I believe a few people on the desk took this trade. And so here's the level. It's like highlighted. It did end up being significant. You notice it consolidated against it. It broke down, started to hold below. So this, I'm assuming people were shorting here. It spiked back above, and this is going to be a question of where would you be placing your stop. If you had placed your stop correctly in this case, you never would have been stopped out, because you would have used the top of this range here, which is around 72, 73 cents, and eventually comes back down, starts to hold a little bit lower, and comes off, not a huge down move from there, but about 70 or 80 cents. So a pretty good trade there for about 15 cents of risk on that one. And then finally, not a stock I usually talk about, but this AAPL Apple, I did notice that it was right back up at the all-time high and seemed like if it gets consolidated above 549, there might be a 4 or 5 point up move in that one. This is obviously for much more experienced traders. I'll quickly check in with it, and here's a 10-day, so you can kind of see what I was looking at. So basically, I felt if it could consolidate right here above this 549-ish area, maybe there'd be a move to 554. And it did consolidate kind of up there, but there was a bunch of, you can see it was dropping out, but pretty much holding it. And eventually went up about 2.5, 3 points. Actually 3 points, I guess, right? 3 points. So, followed a pretty strict pattern there. So that's really it. The one thing I will just, I'll highlight is there's this concept where people think they have to have 100 ideas. And look, part of our preparation is guys are going to go through hundreds of charts every night. They'll look for good setups, have price alerts, and if volume comes in at those prices, then they'll make those trades. But the reason why we focus in on the news with catalysts and the second day plays for stocks that were really good the prior day is those tend to give us higher probability setups. They've already established good support and resistance levels, inflection points that you can use for low risk, high reward trades. And I think if you scroll down this list, you'll see that that was the case again today. And so when you look at the market, and the market overall isn't moving that much, and you think the market's quiet, are you focused in on these stocks where there was a lot of opportunity? And if you're focused on those stocks, you're not really thinking about what's the market doing overall. You're thinking about, I'm in 3 or 4 or 5 stocks that are actually offering me good opportunities.